Today we're talking about keeping faith as a husband and father here in this crazy world we live in 2026. That's right. This world we live in today is a pretty crazy one, and today I wanted to discuss exactly what we have to do as husbands and dads to keep our faith and why it's important to have faith. How's it going, guys? And welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. My name is Chad, and this is the Hopeful Homestead. Now, some of you might not find value in having faith, in believing in a higher power. And I'm here to tell you that when you just look out your window, just step outside into the world, it becomes pretty apparent and pretty obvious that evil exists. Just look out there and you'll see evil at every corner. It is pretty obvious. There's a self-evident truth to the reality of there being a higher power, of there being a creator, of there being a God, just in the fact that there's so much apparent evil in the world. We are the only species as human beings that will do things that are counterproductive to the evolutionary purpose that we're designed, or that we've evolved to do. We're the only species that will seek out ways to defame ourselves, to destroy ourselves. We're the only species on the planet that regularly decides to end their own life. There's no other species on the planet that has anywhere near the rate of turmoil that results in choosing to end their own life. That doesn't happen in any other species on the planet, and it happens rampantly for us. We're the only species that has a consciousness, a level of consciousness that is self-evident that there is a creator. Our desire to be creative, to do things that make no sense for the greater good of our evolutionary purpose. The whole philosophy behind just survival and evolving and living to adapt and procreate, if that's the only purpose that we have, because that's what we're evolving to do, then explain the reason behind wanting to create a beautiful piece of artwork, or why we stand and look at a sunset and feel like it's just so beautiful and magnificent. Why do we listen to music and find it therapeutic and find purpose in it or meaning in it? All these things that when you display any of those things to a regular animal, they're just ambivalent to it. They don't even recognize any beauty in it because they are not able to perceive beauty, because they are not conscious like we are. We are self-evidently created by a creator. We are capable of love and passion and self-sacrifice and evil and wrongdoing and horrid things. The full spectrum of what we are capable of as a species is really enough evidence right there to show you that we are indeed created by a God, and that having faith as a husband and father in today's world is important. It is essential. And so once you get your mind wrapped around the fact that evil does exist, then there must be something in the other direction to look towards. If there's supernatural evil forces out there that are clearly trying to take you down and destroy your family, then who do you look to for direction on how to deal with that, on how to prepare for it, how to avoid evil, how to be saved from evil? And I got to tell you guys, if you haven't considered it, the answers are right here. I'm not a preacher. By all means, I am not a preacher. I am a believer, though, and I know that every time I dive deep into this, every time I go to church and really seek out the Lord, He is there for me, and He does show me what direction to go in my life. He will provide perspective on how to navigate difficult decisions, how to navigate hardships, how to prepare for things. I've been leaning on Him quite a bit with trying to build our forever home out here on our property. It's been a crazy, difficult journey with a lot of roadblocks and a lot of disappointments, but He has been with me all along the way. And the sermons that I'll come across in church, the random bits of scripture I'll come across while researching, answers that directly tie into certain circumstances I'm dealing with on the daily, is proof to me we're not just drifting. We're not just a clump of cells floating on a rock through space. We're more than that. We have souls. We have a creator that wants good for us, and that there is an evil one, that there is Satan. There is an evil force out there that wants to destroy us. If you're unfamiliar with that, it's called spiritual warfare. As a husband and father, that's, in my opinion, the number one thing you are called to be for your family, is the protector of your family when it comes to spiritual warfare. Making sure that each member of your family, your wife, your kids, they all are aware that this is a very real thing, and that they're able to identify key things in the world and in relationships with friends at school, and people that they're interacting with strangers on the street, with anything that's going on. They're able to recognize these moments of spiritual warfare and how evil forces can and will try to penetrate into their lives. As a husband and a father, it is your duty to be the first one to notice these things, the first one to seek out answers on how to battle these things through spiritual warfare and prepare your family for this. We can talk all day about wanting to be able to be a protector of your family from a physical standpoint, and yeah, that's important too. Knowing how to defend your family, whether it comes to firearms or self-defense tactics or preparedness or whatever. But number one is making sure that you're prepared to protect your family spiritually. And I hope I've laid that out clearly here today. Sometimes I ramble on in these videos, and I wonder to myself if I'm making much sense. But I wanted to talk about this just real quick today, because I know that some of you, a lot of you are believers. We've discussed various things in these videos on this channel about God, about our roles as husbands and fathers, as men in the world, with regards to our place spiritually. But I know there's a lot of you out there that have stumbled across my channel because of the gun videos or whatever, and maybe you aren't believers. Maybe you're not necessarily against the idea of it. Maybe you just didn't have an upbringing with it and you don't really understand the topic of it or why it's significant. And all I'll say is, once you start looking into this and you actually open your heart and your mind to it, God is waiting. God knows when you start to do that. God's hoping and waiting for you to start to seek him out. And he will be there. He will answer you. He will manifest in various ways when you start researching. You maybe go to church for the first time, and then a point in the message at church will be so pinpointed towards you, and you'll be wondering, how in the world did that pastor know to preach on that particular subject when I've been struggling with that? And you'll know in that moment, that's God showing up. That's God letting you know that he is there, he's real, and that you need to seek him out, and he's got the answers for you. It's not just about reading about some fictional thing in a book that happened 2,000 years ago. This is a guidebook on what we need to do and believe, but God is a very real living God that is out there and is accessible to you and is present in today's world. It's not just about learning about what happened with Jesus 2,000 years ago and now God's up in heaven and we're just all alone down here or something. That's not what's happening. His power, his protection, his guidance, and his peace are available to you. It will set you free from struggles you're dealing with. It will set you free from the bondage of relational problems, of baggage that you've been carrying, of guilt you have for things you may have done wrong in the past, of pain you have from wrongdoings of others that have wronged you. God can free you from all of that and make you have a new outlook on life and a new purpose in life. And I just wanted to leave this message for you today. We talk about a lot of things here on this channel, but the importance as husbands and dads in 2026 in this world that is so obviously full of evil, it's important to have faith. It's important to know the truth. And all I'll say is, we'll talk about that in various videos. I've already talked about it a lot on this channel, and we'll talk about it more. Start seeking God out, and you'll encounter him one way or the other. And eventually, you'll see why I'm saying this, and you'll be glad that you did. But all right, guys, thanks for being here. Again, my name is Chad. This is The Hopeful Homestead. Hope you got something out of this. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.